Hello, welcome back. I'm Shiko.
I'm Yam.
And I'm Gavone.
And this is Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Kiasi.
see.
Oh, whoa, whoa,
Why does it sound like
whoa.
it sounds like the song like at the beginning of like an Esmeralda, the way you started that thing.
Esmeralda ni nani? Who is Esmeralda?
Girl, the way you made us sing that song when we were young, you don't know Esmeralda?
No,
I don't know
she
who
doesn't know
Esmeralda is.
Esmeralda. She doesn't.
That's too
Esmeralda was
old.
before her time. It was
What was
what she
hers?
knows is cuando se esmía. That's it.
Cuando se
Please immediately
esmía
stop. It
Yes.
sounded like you were starting one of those
and
songs.
la mujer de mi
Okay, that's the one.
vida.
Los
Yes.
Yeah.
colors. Do you remember how she used to make us keep quiet in order for
What's
us to
the
know
one
those
for the
songs?
gardener's daughter?
Ah, Shori.
Hey, you have come too much. I
You
don't
have
know that
really told
one.
us too much.
Oh,
No,
Camila. Actually, Camila was so good. Like Camila was the one. I think that was the best like telenovela that existed. That one
uh-huh.
or Cuando Sesame, I'm not sure, but I feel like Camila was the one. There was a time even she
Camila was
went
cuando se
blind.
smea.
Sijui what? No, Camila was not Cuando
Camila
Sesame.
was
Camila was
another show.
Camila.
You are
Yeah.
right. Camila was Camila. The gardener's daughter
Wow.
was and for the
What
three
a way to
sisters.
start an episode.
He had the
Hey,
jardinero. Where?
Shori. No,
Wait.
stop. Okay? No, thank you. Us guys
Anyway,
had the
Gadoni.
rich also cry. Thank you for coming to my TED
I
talk.
don't know that one.
And
Of course.
Wild Rose.
And Wild Rose.
Tell us how your week was, Gadoni.
My week was excellent. My week was great. I have sunburn because of being supportive to my sister. Yeah, because Nyam competed. Let me tell you, I was there screaming, doing for her videos. Did I think about my forehead? No. So
You
I
didn't put
came home.
sunscreen?
I put sunscreen. I put some, but guys, I keep telling you guys I'm a princess. I don't think anyone understands. I had plus 50 sunscreen. And even then, my skin said, "You were in the sun too long, Shuri. You are born for." I was born to have someone carrying an umbrella around me. That's what I was born to do. But wrong century, unfortunately. So yeah, my week was good. Work wise, very chill. Work from home a lot of last week because unfortunately there's a new COVID strain in the streets of Nairobi. Um,
Whoa.
and so
Was
people
it
want
COVID
to.
that your colleagues had?
I don't think it was COVID. Actually, no, it ended up being like a bacterial. Okay, the poor girl. She needs to be serious because she's getting married in T minus 5 seconds and she's out here doing. She's a joker. Anyway, I'm talking to her because I know she's listening. You're a joker. Anyway, I'll be in trouble for saying that. But yeah, so we worked from home a lot of last week, which thank the Lord. I really like working from home. I don't like COVID, but work from home was my guy.
That's the best thing that came
It's
out.
the best thing. I'm
So
like, who
good.
said offices need to come back? Who? I mean, we were doing well at home. I don't want you to bring back COVID, but bring back work from home. And then my weekend was chill. I got to hang out with my best friend on Sunday. We are so proud of ourselves because we never hung out. I was talking to mom. She was asking me something about my best friend. And she's like, how do you not know? She's your best friend. I was like, don't try and understand our relationship. So that we hang out for real and there's like in public. I was so proud of us.
There's
Yeah,
evidence.
there's evidence, not only on our phones, but other people's phones. Look at God. It's so good. We're doing so well. We're so proud of ourselves. But that's how my week was. It was pretty chill. I'm so excited. I'm just like, oh my God, guys, my birthday's in a month, like 2 months. What
I
respect?
was like, a month?
Yeah, because like we're basically at the end of October, guys. Let's be serious. And November, no one counts November. So it's basically Christmas, which I'm just waiting for. Actually, my current excitement is waiting for Halloween to end so that I can put up my Christmas tree. When I say put up, I mean move back to
Wow.
the sitting room because I never put it in its box. Thank you.
It's Christmas all the time in Gadoni's house, just in the bedroom. Now
Crazy.
it's supposed to be Christmas in the
Yeah,
sitting room.
I removed it. So someone say, I think I've mentioned this before, but someone was like, in their family they used to keep up the tree from Christmas to Easter. So I kept it till Easter, and then I was like, I think people will judge me if they walk into my house in May and they find a tree. So I moved it to a room. It still gives me joy because it's still fully decorated. So I'm just waiting for Halloween to end like this. When Mariah Carey comes and says, "It's time," oh, I'm ready. Me and Mariah. Me and Mariah. Anyway, that's how my week.
Get down and set the fire.
Hey, yeah.
Hey. Yam, how was your week?
My week was good. The highlight of the week being in the competition. Um, it was really, really intense and brutal. Uh, Even the little prep we thought we had done, there was changes in the programming on the day. So it was, hey, I really, really questioned myself, like, how did I put myself in this situation, you know? But at the end of the day, I was very proud of myself as well. So yeah, it was a good day overall. And then on the weekend, we also had like a memorial Zoom with family members where we got to light candles for those who have gone before us. And I got to light a candle for Nyawera, so that was also nice. Just like a nice time together. Yeah, I'm still in recovery. I feel like my body is fighting me at the end of the day. Like the last workout had a lot of running, so I'm feeling that impact in my knees.
And
But
she really ran.
hey, I really ran. No, and by the way, let me tell you, I wasn't intending to run, but my partner is a runner. I was like, oh, I guess I can't let the team down. Whoa,
Wow.
Can't
sprinter.
really blame your partner. You also have competitive spirit in you.
True, but I feel like if we had just been at our own pace, we didn't have to run that hard. Like if I had been the pace setter, honestly. But yeah, I mean, at least my coach has promised us an easy week on of mobility this week, just for recovery. So yeah, but it was a good week. How about you, Shiko?
Nice. I think it was a pretty good week. I spent most of it up in Michigan for a bridal shower. Christian's sister is getting married, his little sister, so I went up to Michigan for all the festivities and everything. It was a good weekend. The events went really well. They did like the bridal shower, and then her mom threw like a personal bridal shower just with like the immediate family, to give her more like intimate gifts or whatever it is. Overall the events went really well, but I am drained. You know, when you just have to be on all the time, because
Mm,
I'm a bridesmaid and I was like doing a lot of things, like helping out and everything. And then on top of that, I'm with family. So
mm,
I felt like I needed to be on, and I talked and talked and talked and had so many conversations. Right now I'm just kind of like, whew,
downtime.
I
I get
need
that.
downtime.
Yeah.
We
Mm,
came back, well, I came back last night. Got here about like 10:30, and I just wanted to be like in quiet time. So I literally ran my bath at at that time of night, and I was like, I just need to sit here in peace and silence for a couple of minutes by myself. Um and then obviously slept and everything, and it's been it's been a long weekend, but overall really good, and good things happening. You know what I mean?
Mm.
sure.
Yeah.
By yourself, do you mean
Nice.
you and your children?
Who in the bathtub or
But
where?
how will they enter the
No,
tub?
over not entering the tub, just there on the side. They don't sit with you.
Yeah, you know, Maria doesn't know how to be
Yeah,
alone. So like
yeah.
sometimes I'll literally just be sitting in the bathtub. I'll hear the door open because she knows how to open doors,
She's
and then she'll just
anti
come and
close the
sit on
doors.
my towel
She'll be like,
because
"Hi, are
she
you
can't
still
sit on the
in here?"
tile. This girl is a princess.
like her,
Yeah.
like her auntie.
She scratches my towel like this, arranging it for herself, and then she'll sit there. It's
Wow,
the worst.
the
Actually, it's the
best.
cutest. But then when I come out
Yes.
of the bath, I'm just full of her hair. I'm like, did I get clean or dirty? Who knows? Anyway,
Mm.
spin the wheel.
Let's do
Like a
it.
record spin, 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 spin me, yeah. Love the way you say, spin, spin, spin me, yeah. I'm gonna spin, spin, spin me, yeah, me, yeah, me, yeah. I was trying to get before the nini. Me, yeah, do do
Dear
do do do.
Instagram, dear Facebook, dear Meta, whatever the hell you're calling yourself today, please, can we put Elaine back on Instagram? Because
Bruh.
every time we try and play the spin song on Instagram, it's not there. Like, put it back in the collection. Hello?
I know of all her songs
Exactly.
in her nini library. Wow, what did we land on?
Where are we at?
So, we landed on repeat.
On repeat.
So, what
I
are you
already
guys
know.
listening to?
Even me, I already
You
know.
know that Banner Boy song? Tested, approved, interested. Girl, come wine from my seat. Come give me that.
Yeah.
Na,
Baby,
na,
come on,
na,
naman, naman, namin na.
na.
Baby,
I like
naman,
how you,
namin,
Egg.
namin, namin na.
I like how you started
Tested,
winding before
approved,
you started singing the
interested.
song. You're just wiggling, being like, you know that banner song.
In
You said,
advance.
If the wine doesn't start before the song, is the song banging?
where is the
Is it
song
really?
banging? Is it?
Literally.
Question mark.
I
It
love that
is.
song. I've been listening to that song a lot.
Non-stop.
And then also Victoria Monet. She has
Mm.
her new album, Jaguar 2, out.
Mm-hmm.
That girl needs to be the next Beyonce. I don't know who we need to talk to, but she's like a performer. I don't know like if you guys have seen her videos on TikTok or whatever it is. Victoria Monet is out here performing. She gives me old school like loves the craft. She's an artist type girl. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Mm.
she has real life choreography and she's singing while doing it and it's just like the world needs more of these people like Victoria Monet, not these Akina blue faces. Anyway, blue faces
Wow.
baby
Please,
moms
fast.
has a song and it's kind of it's called Barbie. It's kind of a banger.
Which baby moms now also? You have to
The
be clear.
OG,
You know now she's a
Jaden.
fiance. You didn't see?
I saw. Wow.
Let me tell you, I know so much about Blueface against my own will. Like seriously, just in a chokehold, I know everything about him, Krishan, Krishan Jr. Plus
All
his.
of them.
I'm just like,
Meanwhile, I
please
sit here
stop.
staring at you saying,
That's
what
how
is
I feel about Will and Jada. I'm
Also
like,
them.
why are you telling us your business?
because
Shut
they need
up.
to sell the book.
I am
It's
not in the. Take me out of the family group chat, please. Why am I
Exactly
here?
that.
you said
Hey,
left has left the chat, has left the group.
Please, please.
Well,
Anyway,
myself, my jam currently is Anthony Brown and group therapy. It's called Up Up Up. Let me tell you, that song, eh? If you listen to it, you have to have a headphones or a car system like mine because it slaps. You know how? Let me tell you how it slaps. You know how on TikTok they're like, "Would you slap your mom for $1 million?" That's how it slaps. Like slaps. Guys, it
Gazani.
wow.
slaps like all those people saying, I'll slap her because we'll share the money after and I'll be forgiven. That's how that song slaps. Oh, it starts like with this little light of mine. Wow, you say Sunday school? And then it just does do another bit. Oh my God. Even thinking about it, I feel like I can't sweat. So,
What's it called?
anyway, Up, 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 Anthony Brown. It's like 2023 Nene release. It's a single.
Release.
But I mean, the way I think actually my neighbors must be like, Hiwimboata tunaijua. We know this song. The way I play that song when I'm coming in, obnoxious with my loud, loud, loud car. The whole neighborhood. If they don't know that song now, I've done something wrong. That's my song. I have one. It's that song.
Nice.
Listen to it now. Okay, not now, after
Yeah.
the episode.
Wow. So I'm really feeling the Kenyan girlies in the R&B scene.
Okay.
First, big shout out to Lisa, who
Woo,
was
woo, woo, woo,
featured on
woo.
Colors, her Her Colors show came out this
Spotify.
She
week.
killed it, man.
She killed it. So For Keeps is a nice song. But who I've actually been listening to is Njerai. She has a song out called OTD, and she even put out like an open verse challenge. You know, I see it a lot like with Eric
On the
Bellinger, and yeah, a lot of TikTok people will do it. And I
Yeah.
really like some of the like entries that she's gotten as well. So I've been watching those on TikTok as well. So that's one of the jams I'm feeling currently, OTD. Lisa for Keeps. And there's another artist called Maya Amolo who dropped an album. She's also a young Kenyan babe, vibey. So that's the vibe I've been on recently. And I think Zenya Manase is the next person on Colors.
She is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm
is
just
she?
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
yeah, I
did
feel
it,
like
I think
the
yesterday.
Kenyan girlies are having a moment.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
Girlies.
yeah.
And their music is such a vibe,
It's the
honestly.
Such a
best.
It's
vibe.
just such a vibe.
If
Yeah,
people say Kenya
yeah.
does
So
not have music, who are you listening to? Anyway,
yeah,
I
Not.
won't
They're
judge
not.
that. They're not
not listening.
facts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Shall we jump into it?
Let's
Let's
do
jump
it.
into it.
To the
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode. We have a really special guest. It's one of my besties, the mother to my firstborn. It is none other than Web3 Gang Gang. Oh my God. She's a girl with an accent sometimes. She my baby girl. She my girl from like a long time ago. She's the friend who my children will call auntie, even though she's not my sister because she's my sister. It's Mellop! Woo, 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 woo,
Yay!
pull up.
woo.
Hey, roll it back.
Pull up a
Wind it.
tune. Wind it.
Sister.
Gang it.
Hey.
Anyway, so
Attention. If you
uh,
know, you know.
if you are up to date, you know, you know. If you don't know, you but find out. Anyway, so
Aha.
um so we're just going to we invited Mel up here to piggyback on our conversation if you've been listening to season 4. She is one of my friends who happened to maybe have a child while we were in our youth. And we've talked about not what
Mayhaps.
mayhaps perhaps have had a child. And the world said, Shori, are you doing it? And so we wanted to just talk about that as a different like perspective on the whole child situation, growing up in the church, African children, you know how we do when you find out you're a teenager and you're like, Ninaenda kulala wapi? Where am I going to sleep tonight? You know, is that her experience? We're about to find out. So, Melop,
Yeah.
my first question to you is um tell us your story, like just like what was the lead up to finding out you have caught a pregnancy?
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Okay. So grew up in church for sure,
that's
in
where
the
we met.
depths of it. Yes, that is where we met. Was very involved in the church as far as like youth programs. Was in my mind, I felt like I was destined to be a pastor. That didn't exactly pan out the way I thought it would pan out, or at least some type of leadership in the church. And then in 2008, I moved to the States for college. And it was at the point in time that I was working out my faith that I actually got pregnant, which was very weird. So my first year of college, I was pretty much just partying like everyone does at 18. You're like, I'm just left home. I'm having a good time. I'm partying. So I was really enjoying myself. I was in the streets. I was in the streets. And
Great.
then I think it was like closer to the end of my first year. I said, you know what, I gotta get serious. I feel like if I'm going down this youth pastor road, I've experienced enough to like say I know what the kids are going through, and I think it's time to settle down. And as soon as I said that, my then arch nemesis, now husband, reached out to me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, like I'm headed back." Actually, I should say I was in Boston, Massachusetts. He and I were together at Rift Valley Academy, and we hated each other, but I was really good friends with his sister. And while I was in Boston, his parents were in New Hampshire, which is about 45 minutes away from where I was for college. So he was driving back to visit his parents or was moving back and was like, "Hey, I see you're like in the area. Can I come say what's up?" And I was like, "Mm, I guess." Now, backstory for us. So we hated each other in high school, but there was one night I used to work at the student center. There was one night he came to walk me to my dorm, and I was like, okay, that's suspicious. And then he was like, hey, do you want to make out? And I was like, of course, because I said, me, I've been for the streets. Me, all my sexual knowledge I learned by myself, trial and error. So I was like, of course, I'll try, no problem. So me, I'm like, okay, so how do you want to do this? I lean in for a kiss, he grabs my boobs and ran away. So I was like, you know what? I'll pay you back. I'll pay you back. So when he called me, I was like,
Is this your time to shine? Payback, is that you?
Payback.
but
Wow.
of course now we are a little bit older and we're out of the high school setting, high school boarding setting. We're behaving a little bit like mature adults. And of course, he was looking a bit better since he'd been out of high school for a while, a little manly manly. And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. So we hung out a couple times.
Hangout is the right word. Uh-huh.
We hung out. And then on the third time, we hung out a bit too much. And we actually ended up having a fight. And I was like, I never want to see you again in my life. 3 weeks later, I was calling to tell him I was pregnant.
Wow.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we really hung out. We really hung out. And at that point, I was 19.
Okay.
Okay.
And when I found out, actually, to be honest, the night that I got pregnant, I knew I was pregnant. For some weird reason, I was like, I just know I'm pregnant. But it was weird because I was on birth control. I took the morning after pill. Like I did all the things. Then I was like, nah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. 3 weeks later, I walk into the cafeteria at school. I had a dance recital that night. So I'm walking to the cafeteria. I smell everything that is happening in the cafeteria, and I'm just like, "Bleh." So then I was like, you know what, guys, I can't do this. I said, maybe I'm pregnant and I don't know. So I took first pregnancy test, and I burst into laughter in the bathroom. And someone was in there and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I just might be pregnant." And they're like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And then I said, "But I think it's probably because I haven't eaten, so my hormones must be off."
Oh, yeah.
You were like, when I was walking through that cafeteria, actually, I
Yeah,
was just
I was
hungry.
hungry.
I was just
I was
hungry.
just
Yeah.
smelling
So
all the food.
So
I put the
now,
pregnancy test away. I
uh-huh.
went back to the cafeteria and I said, "I'll just hold it in." I got food. And then I'm walking. I walk back to the dorm. I take another test. Positive. I say, you know what? Maybe I'm just confused. Let me go for my dance recital. I'll be back. So I go for my dance recital. We're walking back, and I tell one of the girls I was dancing. I was like, "Yo, I think I might be pregnant." She was like, "Huh?" I said, "I'll let you know tomorrow morning." So I get back to my room. I took the third test, and I was like, "Well, I just put all three in a drawer. I closed it, and I sat down." And I looked at myself and I said, well, there's only one call I need to make right now, and that's my mother. After that, we'll see. So I called my mom
Wait. First
and
of
I
all, I
was
love your
like,
logic. She's like, you know what? This is not right. I'm hungry. This is not right. I'm confused.
I know. It's that thing of it's as if you eat the eggs and then the pregnancy test will be negative. It's like you are hungry.
yeah,
That's why you had a positive.
yeah.
I love it.
I don't think
Yeah.
that's how
So you call
science
your mom?
works.
So I called my mom. I was like, hey, we know each other's stories. And I told her, by the way, mom, I have something to tell you, which for her, by this time, she knew was my like keyword for there's some drama about to go down. I apologize in advance, which was the same language I used when I was suspended, same language I used when I was caught cheating. Like, so she was like, "What is it now?" So I said, "Hey, now it looks like I'm pregnant."
Not
She
it
said,
looks
"It
like.
looks like, or you are." I said, "It
Wow.
looks like."
Because things could
And
change.
then she said, "What happened? I thought we were going to wait until marriage." And then I said, "I tried." And then there was silence. And then it It clicked what I just said. I was like, eh.
Wow.
I tried, Mom, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant. So yeah, she said, anyway, have you eaten? I said, yes. I said, yes, I've eaten. And she said, okay, have you told your father? No. Okay, I'll call you in the morning. Okay, good night. And that was the beginning of the journey. And funny enough, like for me, that was the one call I was scared to make. After that, hey, I was like, guys, I'm pregnant. Because I've always wanted a kid. I think when I was 12 was the first time I realized, oh, I want to have kids. And at that time, I wanted to have 10 kids. But
Wow.
then now
So
Wow.
I
what?
don't.
Huh.
Okay.
Now I don't.
Okay, 10
Until
years.
3 years ago, I wanted 10 kids, not anymore. So,
Uh-huh. Dang, that's
and now here we
crazy.
are.
So how is
Yeah.
it
That's
that then you ended up now telling your dad? What was that conversation like?
I didn't tell him. My mom told him. The first time he and I had the first time we had a conversation on like a call was probably when I was 3 months pregnant. But at the beginning, my mom told him, and then he wrote me a very long email in all caps and in red letters.
wow.
Wow.
Ooh.
Did I read it? No. I still, to this day, do not know the contents of that email.
From that email.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's never brought it up.
So, yeah, no, that he's never brought it up. The relationship for us at that point was very bumpy. Even prior to that, we didn't really. I grew kind of apart from my dad because he left when I was probably 4 years old to go for higher education. He's an orthopedic surgeon, so he went for all those extra things. And then when he moved back, he was living in Arusha for a very long time, setting up a hospital there, and going back and forth. Actually, at that time, he was living in Arusha. And then by the day that I went into labor was the day he moved back to Kenya. Um,
Mm.
Permanently. So we've had a distant relationship, and then we had an estranged relationship because of the pregnancy, and then have kind of grown through that, and then of course now we're in different countries again. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So take me through the journey of like, okay, so you're in Boston for college and everything. How was it like telling your, was he boyfriend at that time? Situationship?
No, we were not
How
talking
is
at all.
that?
We were
Yeah.
done. We had gone from a situationship to not talking at all. Um, when I called him, actually, funny enough, when I probably my junior year of high school, I had said to a couple of people, like, I don't think I would mind being a single mom. I would actually really love it. Um, so at that point in time, it felt like my dream has come true. It's a little early, but yay. And before I called him, really I think my thought process was I don't want in 10 years, 12 years down the line for my child to be like, hey, where's my dad? And for me to be the reason that she didn't have that relationship with him. And also for him, I wanted that opportunity for, even if he and I weren't going to have a relationship, I didn't want to be the one to impede their relationship. So I said I'm going to let him know, and then he has the choice to decide whatever he wants. Because at that time, I knew I was going to keep her anyway, regardless of what happened. And so I called him at first. I think I called him maybe 3 times, left 3 voicemails, but he wasn't, like I said, we weren't talking, we'd had an argument. So I ended up actually sending him a message on Facebook, and I was like, Guy, I'm pregnant, call me back.
Wow.
Not Facebook.
Oh.
Hey,
So
Meta
then he
has
calls
come a
So
me.
long way.
inbox. Not even
It's come
messenger at that
along way.
point.
I
Did you write on
Not
know.
his
even
Yeah,
wall?
it
messenger.
wasn't even Messenger. It was on the computer,
In the inbox.
typing it in the inbox. Yeah. So then he called me back, and I was like, "Yep. So I'm pregnant. You don't have to be involved. I just wanted to let you know. Peace." So at that point, he was like, "Okay, I'm coming to see you." So he drove down that night, and me, I'm talking, and this guy is like doodling in his book. So I'm wondering, what the hell is this guy doing? So I tell him, like, "What are you doing?" He's like, the whole time he'd been drawing a ring in this book that he'd given me for his he's a very arts and craftsy guy. So he turns the book and he tells me, "Do you want to get married?" I was like, "No." I said, "Do
Oh.
you have cows to give my mother? Are you mad?"
I love it.
He was like, "But you're pregnant. You don't want to." I was like, please, please, kindly. I
Uh-uh.
didn't tell you so that we can get married. I told you so that you know. And if you want to be involved, fine. But I'm not ready to get married. I don't think you are ready to get married. Let's just figure out what we're doing and keep it at that." So yeah.
Actually really
Spoiler
mature.
alert,
I
I
I
married
really
him years
respect
later.
that. Of course.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? I'm surprised that that came out of me. Honestly, I think it was less a factor of maturity and more an issue of selfishness in that moment. Because for
Okay.
me, it felt like marrying him was stealing my dream of being a single mom. And I was like, I want this baby to be mine. This is my Gilmore Girls moment. You're not taking it away
Yeah.
from me, you know?
Gonna be
So
us too.
I want to claim maturity. I really wish I could, but I think in that moment it was really just a selfish moment for me.
For
Hmm.
me, it's so
I
interesting that
appreciate that.
you could have grown up in the church and you wanted to be a single mom. Isn't that like going against everything you had ever been taught in your life?
Absolutely. But then again, if you remember, I went against everything because I was the kid who used to come to church in the morning with with my clothes from clubbing the night before. You know, like you leave the club at 6 a.m., you're in church at 8 because, you know, your
Because you
parents
have
have
to go
said
to
you
church
must go to church.
regardless. So if you want to meet here, I'm going
Yeah,
to
we
come
have to go to
from
church
wherever I
regardless.
came from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I used to sit backbench smelling like all the, alcohol they've drunk the night before. And
Yeah.
yeah, you smile and
You are
wave,
there.
and then you say, "God
Yeah. Yeah.
bless,
Yeah.
I'll be a youth pastor soon." The irony of it all.
Yeah. So
I
you
used to
leave
like
the
telling people,
States.
I'm just an experiential learner. And I feel like if I know this well, I can guide people through it.
100%. Words of wisdom.
Yeah.
So you leave the States and then come back to Kenya. Like, what was the society or like even the church, your community's reaction? Because did you finish? You didn't
Um,
finish college. You came home so that you could like have that community, right?
So what ended up happening, actually, I came home to visit. I was supposed to
Okay.
be home for a month and then come back to the States because by the time I was coming home, I'd already talked to my school about essentially facilitating me being a single mom and being able to come to school. And then at the same time, there were community, I want to say organizations that were specifically focused at black single mothers that I had tapped into that were essentially going to be my place to lean on as I went through this whole situation. But then at that time also we had a bit of a clash with my future mother-in-law at that time and my at that time baby daddy's parents because of what we thought was the wise thing to do with a 19 and a 20-year-old having a child. Are we really ready to have this baby? Do we want to give the baby up for adoption? Like, what are we doing? And so, because of that clash, I was like, you know what? I need a break. So, I went home for a visit. It was supposed to be 1 month, and then I was going to come back and finish school and do everything. But then, after a month home with my mother, who was babying me and loving me and all this stuff, I was like, I just called the school and I called the school and I was like, hey, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm really sorry. That scholarship can go to someone else. Like, I'm home. I'm just gonna stay here. And I think honestly that was the best decision that I made in the whole situation, partly because my mom played a very pivotal role in how I saw myself as a mother. But also, I think having friends like Kadoni and Wambura and all of them was really good for me because now going back to the question that you had asked about the church, there, funny enough, there were three of us who had gotten pregnant at the same time, and all three of us had very different experiences. For me, I think the world kind of, and this is inclusive of the church, it reacted the way that with the energy that I put out. Because for me, like I said, once I told my mother I was pregnant, it was mine. I was happy. I was excited. I was just gearing up to go. And I think this is kind of a theme that I've also seen in other parts of my life is that a lot of the times there are things that, yes, society doesn't like when I do. And obviously, it's like, it's not part of societal norms, but then there are times that it's very forgiving because of my personality. So when it comes to like how the three of us experienced my pregnancy, I think I had the easiest time because I felt like so many people in the church had ostracized these other two girls and had been like, oh my gosh, how could you make this decision, blah 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 blah. Whereas like for me, so many were approaching me and telling me, oh, now you can teach the girls that come after you, what to do and what not to do. Your experience can help change other people's lives and all this. So I would say the church was accepting to some extent, and specifically those who knew me in the church. And then there was the other side of the church, which was especially church leadership that didn't take it out on me, but they took it out on my mom. So at that time, my mom was an elder in the church. So one, she got kicked out of the elders board because of me, which I thought was very stupid. And then at the same time, the leadership would constantly come to her and tell her, "Oh, your daughter was seen in the club. Oh, your daughter was," and I would always ask my mom, like, "Okay, who saw me? Is it there?" Because I'm like, I was with their kids in the club. I was with their kids in the club. So if they're judging me for being in the club and they're judging you for your child being in the club, I was with their kids. So like, what are we
Yeah.
talking about? So I think
Mm.
there were, in that regard, as far as like the wider society, there was bigger, I want to say, like my parents were more collateral damage in the broader sense of the church and community. For me, the hardest part was dealing with my closest relatives, specifically my dad's sisters. And if they hear this podcast, they'll be pissed, but it's okay. They're blocked on all platforms. It's fine.
It's okay. This podcast
I
annoys
think,
all aunties and uncles everywhere. This is our
It's
job.
okay. We're already
yeah,
hated by all aunties and uncles,
Yeah.
so it's fine.
like,
We
yeah.
don't care.
So I
Woo!
think for me, the hardest part was they felt that I had if I essentially tarnished my father's image, right? And I mean, if there are people out there who know the Murillas, there's a certain image that they like to keep. And essentially, I had just like not just my father's, but now the whole Murila name. Which for me, I was like, but that's on you guys. Me, I never put myself on a pedestal. So
Yeah.
if
Mm.
you're upset that I fell from grace, that's because you put me somewhere where I never put myself. Now, if I had put myself there, fine, I can maintain that for you. But I didn't put myself there. I know who I am. I've always been true about who I am. So best of luck. Me, I'm going to enjoy this pregnancy. And that didn't sit well with a lot of people. At some point, I was told I'm a prostitute. My cousins would come and sleep over, and one of my cousins ended up dating one of my neighbors. I didn't even know they knew each other. They met somewhere else and they
In the
started
estate
dating.
somewhere.
And then, yeah, and then not even in the estates, like
Yeah.
in the club somewhere else
Whoa.
in some other circles. But then because they were my neighbors and my cousins would come and sleep over, I was told I had prostituted my cousin. Like there was just a lot of
Wow.
nonsense around it.
Rahab, is that you?
And then of course, yeah, which I always said, I'm a really stupid pimp because why don't I have Range Rovers and my own house? Why would I pimp people out of my father's house and
You're
not
doing it
upgrade?
badly.
Quite honestly, Mellap,
Like,
if I felt like you wanted to follow that path, you would do it so well. Like you would not be.
right?
You know what I mean?
Excellent.
Like so.
Yeah, I wouldn't be strapped, man. I would be over
Oh,
there in Runda with my multi mansion or whatever,
exactly.
driving three ranges. So I used to sit and just look at them like, guys, honestly, you think that low of me that I would not be good at this job? Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on.
If that's
So,
the path I'm choosing, I'll
yeah,
be the best. Don't worry about it.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
what I'm curious
But
about is now after you have, do you think that that's changed after you had the baby? Like, did you feel like these attitudes that people had towards you, whether positive or negative, um, continued even after you had had the child? Because usually, people can be mean when you're pregnant, and then they're like, "Oh, but a child is a blessing,"
Yeah. I think the attitude towards me changed specifically because of access to the child. I don't think it was necessarily, oh, the baby's a blessing, let's change our attitudes, because there was still this underlying conversation that was happening of me being a prostitute and all these things, and I guess not amounting to anything. Um, under this also overarching conversation of, yes, now I'm the mother, you have to be nice to me in order to have access to my child. I think the one person that really did a big 180 is my dad. But for him, I think it was, well, actually not just my dad, but one of my other aunties, and both of them, it was them wanting to build a relationship with the child, but it was very little to do with building bridges with me, which I was like, hey, it's okay. Um, but obviously, I think that definitely put a limit on how they had access to TJ, because for me, access to my children is based on also how you treat me, right? So if you treat me badly, who's to say you're not going to treat my child badly when they don't conform to what you think is right?
Mm,
Because the only reason you're upset with me is because I have done something that you do not deem as right. So you have, because of that, now you and I are not talking, but you want to talk to me just because you can talk, just so you can talk to my child. So I would say in that regard, attitudes changed, but not because they were mending bridges, but they wanted access to the
mm,
child. Now, I think okay, there are some of my aunties who we had a conversation with. By conversation, I think it was just really me putting boundaries, because I was like, I understand what all of you have to say, I understand why you're upset, but this is my choice, and if you want to be in my life, it's okay. If you don't want, you
Gucci.
can also leave. Like, imagine I want to die, I'll breathe. So I think for some of them, they didn't expect that. Some of them expected me to be like, it's whatever you say, I am wrong, I will supplicate myself because I'm forever going to be a harlot, you know.
She said supplicate. Wow.
wow.
But yeah, so
Oh,
it's
wow.
been, yeah. And I think attitudes continue to change even over the years. It's taken a lot of people a very long time to get over that first pregnancy, even after getting married. And then even after getting married, there was a lot of pretense that came up with attitudes that people had about the first pregnancy. Of course, the people who are like, ah, you'll amount to nothing. After I announced that I was getting married, they're like, we always knew you would be so, wow, you would surprise us, you would succeed.
What advice would you give yourself, your 19-year-old self, if you were to go through it again?
Knowing what I know now, I would definitely be pro-abortion.
Okay.
Um, and that's not to say that I'm not happy that I have Taraji. I think having her so young was a blessing, and it was a mixed blessing, let me say that, right? I think having her young allowed me to experience motherhood in a way that would allowed me to grow up with my child, and in a sense also grow up in adversity that would allow me grace for her. I think I have so much more grace for my daughter because I know what it feels like to make what other people would see as a mistake, um, and come out on the other side of it, and understand that the process of coming, not, and not even completely coming out on the other side of it, because I think parenting her now also triggers a lot of my traumas that I have to continue to face. But those traumas wouldn't have existed if I hadn't had her at 19. And again, those traumas have allowed me to have grace for her and have grace for my children as well, my subsequent children. Um, I would tell myself, if I was to make the same choice again to keep the child, there are a few decisions in life that I think shape who we're going to be in very impactful ways, that we are not cognizant of, because a lot of the times we're so busy trying to deal with the issues of life that we forget some of the small things. I think I would tell past self to be more self-aware. I think there's a lot that I missed of TJ growing up because I was growing up too. We essentially have grown up together.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot that I missed because I lacked self-awareness. I was just going through life and I wanted to have all the fun. I wanted to have all the things now, 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 because at some point I won't have this and I'll have to be like a super focused mom, and I was trying to do so much that I missed a lot of the small things, even though I had a really good experience with my daughter, even though I had a really good experience understanding her. I think there's a lot I also missed in regard to my relationship with my mom as well. Um, and a lot of that has been retrospectively me looking back now because now I'm 34. I'm essentially a full-time mom with no help other than my spouse who is in the military. So I'm a solo parent a lot of the times, right? So now I'm looking back and understanding the role that my mom played. I'm looking back and understanding the role that Dory, who was Hanani at the time, played, and understanding the dynamics of what that looks like in regard to having that backup. Um, and and also looking at, what my friendship group looks like and looked like at that time. I think, having friends like Gadonu who can like set you straight. I think for me, there was a lot that my parents could say that would go in one ear and out the other, of course. And Gadoni and Wambu or Masi would say it. I'm like, it makes sense. Actually, as if I didn't hear my parents say it the first time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that benefit. A lot of people don't have that friend group that can truly like check you and be like, okay, you're being foolish. Stop being stupid. Get in line. I think that was very crucial. But I also, again, because of lack of self-awareness, a lot of those moments passed me by and I didn't see the full value of them. It is only now that I'm seeing the value of what that is, right? Um, I would also tell my past self to, I would say, slow down. I think because I was in such a rush to experience my late teenage years, I was in such a rush to experience everything. I got myself into more trouble than was necessary. I think, even as an experiential learner, I think there were things that I didn't have to experience, but I experienced them because I was rushing through life. So I would tell her, it's okay, slow down, you'll get there. You still won't have shit figured out at 34. So
Mm, fact.
The
Exactly.
lifelong
Or at
journey.
38.
Facts.
you will still feel.
We know nothing.
So, and it's so funny because there are times when I look at my kids and I'm like, who said I can have children? Who said it is okay for me to have kids
You're like 100% responsible.
unsupervised? There are times when I sit there, I'm like, I am unsupervised with these children. What? Yeah. So,
I want to take you back a bit to where just before you got pregnant, you were in this place for, spiritual discovery, that kind of thing. So, what did having a baby or being pregnant that young and everything like that do to your like spiritual journey? Discovering you want to become a youth pastor.
There's hope. There's hope.
Please no.
I let go of that completely. There's no hope. I have completely left the church. No looking back, no tears, no turning back. Oh my God.
Not a hymn to say
No
you left the
turning
church.
back.
Wow.
Girl.
I left the church and I'm not turning. Anyway, that's a whole story for another day. But I think, honestly, getting pregnant was the beginning of my deconstruction, and I didn't know it until I really got into deconstruction. I think it helped me to begin to see the underbelly of the church, and it wasn't pretty. I think it was a struggle between wanting to hold on to what was the foundation of my youth and all the years leading up to 19 that I was in the church and had really fallen in love with what the church looked like and the people and the relationships that I'd built there. to coming on the other side and being able to critique something that I loved without necessarily being biased, and being willing to say, I can be critical of this thing that I love without necessarily beginning to hate it. Um, so there was that struggle. Eventually, I ended up hating the church, but and trying to build a relationship or a new understanding of what God meant to me. So I think that was the catalyst. One of my kiddos has come to say hi. You want to say hi?
Hi,
Hi.
Zuzu. Hi, Mama. Hi, Zula. Oscar, you're not saying hi though, so
She's
even without
having
him saying
snacks.
hi.
Yeah, not,
Yeah.
what would you tell, like, if you were to put yourself in the other people's shoes, like now the people who are supporting you, your parents' shoes or your auntie's shoes or whatever it is, like what advice would you give them if they have a child or something like that going through the situation that you are going through? How can they be better supports or whatever it is?
I feel like the first thing that comes to mind is be more like my mom, please.
That's
I think the
good.
thing that I appreciated about my mother is that through the whole process, she never she never pretended to not be upset. She never pretended to not be disappointed. She never hid her true feelings from me, but she also found space to be gracious to me. She found space to be understanding of my situation. I think so. She always found space to be gracious to me and understanding to the experience. And the benefit for her, I think, was because she's a psychiatrist. So she understood the mental health side of things, but then she's also a mom and she understood essentially what I was going through. The funny thing is, most people that critiqued me and were upset about the choice that I made were people who are childless, or some by choice, some by life has just not allowed you
Science.
to have that thing. So, science. So, my advice would be, and funny enough, this is also something I'm learning. I did not put on Bluey, but you can go put on Bluey if you'd like. Um, Funny enough, I feel like this is something I'm also learning with my kids when it comes to gentle parenting or conscious parenting, whatever you want to call it, is the idea that you learn better from like you'll always have a consequence, right, to your choice. And any discipline or punishment that we add on top of that just exacerbates the situation. It doesn't necessarily teach them anything, right? It's really more about making them aware of the consequences. And I think that's what my mom allowed me to go through, is the consequence of my choice. It was it was steering me back to, hey, 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 we're not gonna fight over the phone, okay? Hey, listen, baby, it's okay. You can have the lip pad, okay? Zula, why don't you go sit in the living room with your sister and you can sit on the couch together and you can share the phone, okay? Okay, go share with your sister. I'll be right back, okay? I'll be right with you. I'm almost done.
No, Mom.
Killing the mom game, right?
You know what's so funny? I think the one thing no one can tell me is that I'm a bad mom. Like, I think you can tell me, but it will never sink in my spirit. Like, you can tell me anything else. I'm ugly, my body looks bad, my accent is bad. Like, you can tell me all these things. But a bad mom, I look at you and be like, please, next. That's the one part, let me tell you, my ego is so big. Even when I mess up, I'm like, it's okay, we are messing up together.
Mm.
Yeah, so I think my mom always had a gentle hand as far as redirecting me in regard to look at the consequences, and then at the same time voicing her concern about what I was doing. And one thing I can appreciate is my mother never let her feelings be the reason I make decisions. Because and I saw this with, like, that was one of the mistakes I made with TJ, and I've worked very hard to like rectify it, is saying things to her like, how do you think that makes me feel? How do you think I feel when you behave? Nah, 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 nah. At that point, she might change her behavior, but it's just to make me happy. It's not because she's learned something from the things that she's done wrong or the consequences of it. And
Mm.
I feel like my mom did really well to say, I feel upset about this, but you have to make the decision as to how you feel about the consequences of what you're going through now. So I would say that that would be my advice to the others who reacted in whatever way they can, is you can accept your feelings, but your feelings don't have to dictate how you interact with someone else. And if you know that you're going to be negative about it, just give them space, leave them out of your life. They don't have to be there. You don't have to have
Yeah.
that relationship. So yeah, if you can't have grace for somebody, it's okay to take a break for them from them for a while
Or
Yeah.
forever.
That- or
or
forever.
forever. Yeah,
Honestly. That's something our culture needs to learn more. Not everyone has to be in your life all the time.
You need to
Like if
yeah.
cut
they're not if they're
it.
not adding, what's the point?
Cut it.
Anyway,
Cut
to
it.
wrap up our
Cut it.
conversation, what's your
Cut
favorite
it.
part of motherhood?
Oh, it's so okay. It's different with each child, to be honest. With my teenager, now I'm at that place which I never thought I would get to, but I'm in that zone where I'm like, I just want my child to think I'm cool, you know. So
Oh,
it's really fun when she tells me, well, I know it's fun when she, or like I want their friends to think I'm cool. So so like have some of her friends follow me on Instagram, and I'm like, you know, or
you made it.
oh, and she like voluntarily wants to hang out with me. I'm like, oh my God, this is the best day ever. What do you want? Sometimes I go overboard and I mess it up, and she's like, okay, I'm done. But for the most part, I'm like, yay, my kid wants to hang out with me. For the little ones, I think the coolest part is honestly watching them grow. For all of them, I guess, as an overarching theme, is watching them grow, but also watching myself grow through them. Because I think one thing that as children we don't get to see as our parents, or our parents don't let us see them growing. Our parents don't let us experience them learning new things or learning from their mistakes, which is another thing I've tried to do with my kids, especially well, with TJ specifically because she's older, she can understand. Like when I make mistakes, we have conversations about the mistakes I make. So we sit down and I tell her, hey, this happened the other day. This is what I've learned from it. What do you think about it? And we have conversations when she wants to talk to me, of course. So I think that's a really cool thing. And it's again, this goes back to that self-awareness thing, is the beauty of what self-awareness gives me is being able to show my children that I'm a human being and also accept that I can grow with them in a healthy way.
Mhm.
So
I like that. Thanks for
yeah,
sharing.
Wow.
absolutely.
It's a
Yeah,
rock.
we love
I talked a
that.
lot.
Not at all.
That
Not
was
at
the
all. We
point.
wanted to
Not
hear.
at
That's the
all.
point.
But
We
it
always
was
Mukitaka part
welcome
two,
more.
I am open.
Ah,
even
we
part
always
three.
welcome. Even part
Hmm.
three.
Out of
Even
three,
part
out of
three.
five, you know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kalani, where can they find us?
You can find us at OK Kiasi everywhere on social media. That's OKAYKIASI. Dying. And if you're not a social media person, write us an email at okkiasi on Gmail. Oh, at gmail.com. Like I say always, two of us are single. Send our DMs,
Anyway.
not in capital letters and red, but just write an email.
Wow.
If it's red and capital letters,
Wow,
we won't
wow,
read
wow.
it.
Thank you
I
so
go
much if
down
you've
in the
gotten
DM.
this far. Right, Gadoni personally, I don't think I'm on your DMs. Anyway, I'm Shiko.
I'm Yam.
And I'm Gathani.
This has been OK Kiasi. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
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 I don't wanna be there. Watch you see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch you see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch me see that. I don't wanna be there. Watch you see.